Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Communities Live here on Sheffield Live 93.2 FM. Chris and Ellie here, and we have TV psychologist Emma Kenny. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So, I've been reading this report, and you know what? We could do with some good news. An average Brit does 5 good deeds a week. That's brilliant, isn't it?
I would actually say, even though the Tesco researcher said 5 a week, that probably we just underestimate how many more we do. Because I think that we are quite pro-social. I think we're individuals who often just do nice things without even considering that it's particularly nice. And if you took a moment to just reflect on all the good things that you do on a daily basis, you'd be really surprised. Because we do tend to just do really nice things without thinking. We do hold doors open. We do let people in on busy motorways when we're coming off at junctions. We do speak to people in the queue when we're waiting for our coffee and tell them they've got a nice dress or they've got a nice bag, etc. We do nice things without even considering that it's that nice. That's what makes humankind so wonderful.
And I've got to say, I think this is an underestimate as well, because it also says in the report that suggests that Britons will carry out over 265 good deeds a year. So that must be an underestimate as well, then.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's great because I think it's showing us that evidentially we're doing at least a good deed pretty much daily. But I don't think it's because we just do that many good deeds. I think it's because we underestimate and underplay the amount. One of the reasons I've really loved getting involved with the Tesco Stronger Starts Golden Grants campaign is because when we think about our impact, I think it's always important to think about it at a local level. So I mean a local level as in I do something good, the person that I've just done it good for in my community then pays that forward. I'm also talking about the impact we can have on our local community that makes an impact on other people's lives. So what Tesco are doing is they're basically found out in the research that 12:48 p.m. every day is the optimum time we'll do a good deed. So between 12 and 1 p.m. on Saturday the 16th of March, you can actually go into Tesco and you can pick a lucky dip, and basically if you get a golden token in the participating store, you can give £5,000 of their money to a local cause or school. So I'm trying to get people to think about the reflective reinforcement of how you feel when you do something good. So when we do something good for other people, it makes us feel good. When we do something good for our community, it makes us feel good. So even though we're doing something good for others, actually we feel brilliant about it.
And I'm also reading this as well. We're seeing we've come out of COVID, and apparently, COVID's also changed the way we think about helping out others. Do you agree with that, Emma?
So I think that what COVID did was make us show up for each other to some degree. For whatever reason, we had to all connect. We all had to think about people around us, making sure that people that were isolated were still having connections, etc. And we showed up because I think that's what the British person does. I think that it is something within almost our DNA that when the chips are down, we are going to do something positive to change that. And so even though things will have changed, so it's not as if we're all having Zoom chats with our friends 25 times a week like we might have been doing during COVID. But the point is that when we needed to, we did. And that's what I think is really telling about us as a particular culture, as a group of human beings living together in a very cohesive and collaborative way. When things are difficult, we tend to do good things. It's why the UK gives to charity at an enormous rate. So you think about the amount of people here compared to in other countries, it's minimal, but we maximally give to charity. We genuinely want to make a positive difference in this world. And even our etiquette in the UK, we hold doors open for strangers. We pick litter up when we see people dropping it. We do things like taking our neighbours' parcels in. We don't need to do any of what I've just said, but we do. And we do that because hardwired within us is to be collaborative and to be kind. And that's something really positive about who we are as human beings.
And I've got to say, it doesn't hurt to show a bit of kindness to anybody, and the kindness goes a long way. But I'm also reading that cat lovers claim to be more inclined to do good deeds more than dog lovers. What's your views on that?
Yeah. Well, I did have to think about that because I've got some conflict in the fact that I have both cats and dogs in my home. But I was kind of thinking to myself, why would cat lovers do more good deeds than dog lovers? And I thought, well, you know what? My cats, both of those beautiful boys, make me work a little bit harder for their attention and affection. They're not quite as I'm used to working a bit harder for those, which means that when I go, wow, I have an expectation that I've got to do a bit more as far as doing good. And it's the same for like whether siblings, we look at siblings versus children. Siblings are more likely to do more good deeds. It's not because only children who grow up in a single family in that way don't do good deeds. They do. It's just that if you've had to share all your life, you kind of get in a way that's that when you're out there, it might be more second nature to go out of your way for somebody else. And arguably, if you're in an only child situation, understandably, you've not had to think that way, so you're not programmed to that degree. But for the most part, I think we genuinely are really pro-social, lovely human beings in the UK. I think that the fact that we remember negatives is because it's rare. And because it's rare, that's when we react to it. But if you then think to yourself, well, the reason that I'm frustrated or annoyed in this moment is because somebody did A, B, or C, or this went wrong. Well, think about the fact that that's the only moment in your day where you've had to think. Part of the reason everything's been going well is because people are nice to one another. In a really busy country, in a busy world, we are nice to each other on the whole, which is just profound.
I mean, I've got to say, I've got so many questions to ask, but unfortunately, we're quickly running out of time. So I want to give the last question to you, Emma. Is for our audience who is listening to this right now, what would you like to say to them?
Well, first of all, just take a moment to take stock of how many good deeds that you do that you haven't probably thought about, from holding the door open to making a cup of tea for somebody who's having a bad day, to commenting on the fact that your colleague looks nice in that dress. All these things that we do without even thinking, because it helps you to reinforce what a good human being you are. Remember that volunteering is going to be something that will actually make you feel good about yourself. It will also help to reduce anxiety, reduce blood pressure. All of these things can have a real impact on you. And the other thing I'd say is, listen, if on Saturday you can do your shop in Tesco or pop into a store that's actually getting involved in this Golden Grants campaign, all you need to do is go on Tesco and actually look for Golden Grants, and it'll tell you the stores that are operating between 12 and 1 and do that, look at it. And if you get that golden coin, you can choose to actually give £5,000 of Tesco's money to a local cause that's going to be important to the community. So you will have an impact for doing this very momentary gesture. So if I can encourage you to do that, I would love you to do that. Like I said, all you need to do is go to tescoplc.com/stronger starts to see which stores are actually taking part.
Emma, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your kindness to do this interview with me.
Thanks for having me.